But in a provocative essay for CNN.com, the former CIA Director Michael Hayden calls it perhaps the most consequential question of the Obama presidency. General Hayden is with us here to consider the stakes. Is it a real threat? Can they attack here in the domestic United States?
Not with intercontinental ballistic missiles, not yet anyway. But they do have a very aggressive ballistic missile program. Even in 2007, John, when we talked about certain aspects of the nuclear weapons program being halted, we try to point out to everyone concerned other things were continuing. Development of fissile materials and development of long-range ballistic missile delivery systems. Both those things continue apace.
Both those things continue apace. And one of the questions is, in your essay, you talk about how Israel has a shorter calendar. The Israeli government has to make a decision. Do they trust the United States? Because if they do, then they can wait longer. If they don't trust that the United States will act, Israel might choose to strike. These are some of the suggested flight paths. One would go across Saudi Arabia. I don't know if that's feasible. One would go across Jordan and Iraq, if that's feasible. How likely do you think when is the timetable? Prime Minister Netanyahu, fresh from his meeting with President Obama, trying to decide, will the United States back me up? What's his final deadline?
You know, it's really hard to tell, but I think I can say with some degree of confidence that each day their window opening is getting a bit smaller. That target out here is getting more dispersed, more hidden, more developed, more hardened in, like, under the mountain at Gum.
Well, let's look at that right here. Let's bring it up. And you see the mountain. If you look at the satellite image, you see an above-ground complex here, but you know this better than I do. You see these entrances. What's down there?
Well, the IAEA suggests they already have centrifuges there. They are developing low-enriched uranium there, but of course, it just takes an act of will to use the same machines to create HEU, which is the precursor to a weapon. They're moving more stuff there. The longer time goes by, more of that target that the Israelis would want to strike if they made that decision goes into that mountain and is not quite totally beyond Israeli reach, but it becomes infinitely more difficult. More
difficult, you say. Now, that's Qom. Let's pull out this one. This is a complex that receives a lot of attention lately. If you look at the satellite images, giant berms built around here. You see the structures that are a bit recessed into the ground, clearly something underneath. A lot of people look at this, and they see a facility where you could have a test. Do you?
It's a facility where we believe, or at least the IAEA has suggested, they are testing the components that they would have to develop a feasible nuclear weapon. They're testing it with conventional explosives that are used to detonate the system. So this has become a mystery site. It's very clear why the IAEA wants to go there, because there are some things that, if they saw them there would be no other alternative explanation other than that the Iranians are on this trajectory towards a weapon.
In your essay, you talk about this in, I think, a provocative way, but one hopefully people can understand it better. You treat it like an algebraic equation. Why to the president is what are Iran's intentions, and he can't answer that question fully yet, correct?
Right. No, that's correct. In fact, the view of American intelligence, and I think it's generally well known that American and Israeli intelligence agree on the facts. And we make slightly different assessments based on the facts, but we agree on the facts. And right now, beginning in 2007, and it's continued through to the current day under 3 different directors of national intelligence, 3 different directors of the CIA, that the Iranians have not yet made that final decision to weaponize their efforts.
So for us, why is the unknown? What is Iran?
Have the Iranians made a decision? Now, for the Israelis, this equation,
the United States.
They're solving for X. They know why, or at least they believe they know why, what the Iranian intentions are. They're solving for X, and X for them is, what is it we intend to do about this?
And how long will they wait? How long will they let whatever's happening here go on?
Well, that's unknowable. And in fact, it may even be unknown to the Israelis, because they've got to sort through a whole host of issues on their own. But as we go through this year, 2012, go through the summer and approach fall, that window of opportunity the Israelis might have gets much, much smaller. The impact of a strike becomes a great deal less.
You're talking about a closing window right as we get to the entrance of a presidential election then.
Yeah, you couldn't make this stuff up, John. You could write this in an exercise scenario and people would throw it out as being too fantastic.
General Hayden, appreciate your time.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, sir. Coming up, the truth about Mitt Romney and the Etch-a-Sketch.